Show. Well, the Doug Rising Show. And I'm the rice. Biddy, 7 a.m. Get up. That's right. Ain't too many of us. That's right. You got plenty of time to sleep. That's right. Get up. This is what you need. How you doing this morning? Man, oh man, are you watching the news? Do you like the new intro music? I picked it myself. Thank you. Thank you. I do dig it. Played it on yesterday's offering, which I highly recommend. I highly recommend that you take a look at yesterday's offering. It was, I thought, well presented. Anyway, so 7:01 in the morning, it's the 30th of October. Are you ready to avoid the demon worship tomorrow evening? I turn off the porch light. Oh my goodness, and I try to stay as quiet while all the little ghostly little demons that they grow up to, terrorize schools and write manifestos and, you dress your kids up to act like evil creatures, and then you wonder why you wake up one morning with a knife at your throat. All right, folks, that's all she wrote. This is the Doug Rice Show. And when you listen to it, just so you know, this is not a spiritual teaching. This is more a mental reaching. All right? So please don't get in your feelings. Do me a favor, if you would, though, could you hit the thumbs up button? Could you hit the like and the subscribe and the share? And you see that notification bell right there? Well, that notification bell can go to hell because it doesn't do any good as far as I can tell. But this is not about the numbers. As you may wonder, this is about just those few folks just like you who might get up at 7 a.m. and do what you do. And that would be to listen to me as I rant on and on endlessly. But you see, I can't help it because every day I look at the news and see how they are destined to lose. And we must prove worthy of making it over as we cross over into our second Exodus, which appears to be pressing next to us. Yes, good morning. How are you? That's what I do, folks. I don't know why. I talk like that lately. I cannot lie, but I just accept it as what is being offered by those who seek to know. And so you have, as a result, the Doug Rice Show. All right, how you doing? This is Doug Rice. The news is dire for them. No, I'm going to tell you again. The news is absolutely abysmal for them. For us, things look hopeful. Things are looking up. It looks as if our time might be up. I can't rhyme up with up, but this is true. As I sit here and tell you, our second Exodus, our captivity is longing to be over, and it shortly will be. All right, I'm just organizing my thoughts, organizing my day. Thank you so much for coming my way, folks. This is the Doug Rice Show, and I probably talk to the same people every day, but I don't care. You're going to hear what I say. I do this as a direct result of watching asses exult. I watched the masses show their asses. I watched as they attempted what I thought might be the near impossible, and now I consider it more and more probable. They are going in a direction, ladies and germs. Please lend me your ear so you might learn. These folks are at the precipice of their very own demise, and it's right there in front of their very own eyes. I look at Donald Trump as a lecherous, malevolent, just stump on a rump. I mean, the guy is an absolute piece of feckless trash in my eye. And how they can look up to this man after projecting, you know, and connecting themselves with decency. They've told Negroes since they brought us to these shores how great and magnanimous they are to, well, me and yours, right? They are. They've told us that how noble a group of individuals that they are. They've projected their potentiality through movies and TV and media. All I see is abject caucasity. All I see is white supremacy. All I see is the death knells, the last gasp of a group that can kiss my black ass. Every day, I find something new to say about these contemptuous creatures. And the reason I'm able to do that is because they continue to show me their features. Shall we continue? Let's. All right, so what do we got on the menu for today to just, I don't know, put our mental sinew in a certain way? I will tell you, folks. We have a rendition from the first edition of this publication, presented for the Negro Nation. You remember this publication well, as far as I can tell. It is called Wake Up to Your True Identity, Revealing the Biblical Nationality of the So-Called African Americans. Maurice Lindsey. We are delving into one of his chapters, the whitewashing of Black history. The whitewashing of Black history. And when we're done, there'll be left no mystery of what these people have done. Let me tell you, it's a reason that they're continually on the run. Before we get into this, folks, let me set aside all jokes. First, thank you to Trina for being here to moderate this offering. And while I'm at it, let me put up this proffering. And here, I think that applies. Below you, you'll see as the bottom crow flies, our giving orders. All right? We got patreon.com / The Doug Rice Show. We got fundly.com, The Doug Rice Show. And we got Cash App, $ The Doug Rice Show. And then because Venmo wants to do what they want to do, and I couldn't put The Doug Rice Show up there too, I just put @Doug Rice. And doesn't that look nice? If you could, folks, we're at a crossroads between bills and the finance needed to pay them. And if you send me the means to do so, I will certainly slay them. But I'll also give you in exchange some PDFs so that you might arrange your mental. And that might be a good, I don't know, just do it if you could. All right, here we go. The name of this chapter that we're going after is the whitewashing of Black history. Now, I personally like whitewashing, of our Black history, but I wanted to really kind of own that a little bit. But that is what has occurred throughout these years, the whitewashing of our history, and resulted in a lot of the fears that we suffer as individuals, as Negroes trapped in the edifice of our own building. And yeah, I'm trying to find the chapter. So just hold on, folks, and hold your laughter, all right? It's going to be okay. Here we go. That chapter, I don't know if that was a chapter or a subchapter, but we'll figure it out. If you might give me a moment, I'll find it. I've no doubt. There are a lot of good offerings in this book. And I encourage you to take a look at Amazon, where you can find this publication available for, dear God, $5 for the nation. All right, here we go. A lot of stuff here. Oh, I think I know where I'm at. All right, here we go. I'm almost there, folks. Thanks for your patience. Appreciate it. While I'm doing this, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share. Go ahead and take a look at the way to donate there, right below you. Hey, let me get to know you. I'll send you the PDFs that I have left, and I'll never run out. Have that, no doubt. Dear God, where was this thing? Psychological curses. To an end, I'll start singing. I don't care. I do not. I'll put it out there. I will, folks, and I will find this chapter in some place here. Oh, how did I lose my place? Well, I'm almost there. I got egg on my face. No, I don't. I'm almost there. I know I was in a chapter, and now I'm in a sub-chapter, and almost there. Hopefully everybody, oh, there we go. Good Lord. Thanks for not leaving. I thought I might find that chapter. All right, here we go. The Whitewashing of Black History. And this is in a chapter. This book is pretty large. Wake Up to Your True Identity. Maurice Lindsey. I've had this in my library for years. I've read it over and over and over and over, but I've also skimmed through quite a bit of it as I try to jump from place to place, and I find the gems. But this is a very good piece of information. So, all right, folks, here we go with the Doug Wright Show. The whitewashing of Black history. The main reason that white America has had so much success in deceiving us into believing that the Khazars are the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible is the same reason that white Europe was able to deceive the entire world into believing that everyone in the Bible is white by whitewashing history. Now, it's important that we examine this portion of this book. And if you need a reason for that, you need to just take a look at what's happening right now, the death, the decay. And let me tell you something, folks, it's not going to go away. This is here to stay. So this book is apropos. Yeah, okay, I said it. I'm sorry. Prior to the 14th century, before America became the powerful nation that it is today, everyone on earth knew that the people of the Bible were black and that ancient civilization was started by black people. And when they say black people, please don't get in your feelings. They, I believe, are trying to convey the melanin that gives color during the day and the night, but it rhymes, so I said it right. All right, even Europe, to whom the white people of today lay claim to originating from, was created by black people. Japhetites, I hate that word, Hamites, and Shemites. Japhethites, yeah, Japhetites will work. However, for some reason, American history teaches us that the people of ancient Europe were all white like them, and that we, the so-called black people, have always been second-class citizens to them. Now, let's not pretend that is an absolute fact. All of us that grew up in this country were taught in school as we grew that the people that are considered Negroes in this country were slaves, and that's all of us knew. Have you ever heard these types of statements before? Of course you have. I know I have. Ever since a young boy, I was taught in white institutions and schooling that blacks have contributed nothing to the history prior to arriving to America, and that we should be glad. We should be glad that we were shipped over here because they gave us a chance to become somebody. Now, who have we become? Who have we become? Who have we become in not only their minds, but in our own minds? I'm going to ask again, and the only reason I pause is because it's interesting and it's just for the cause. What good has being amongst the descendants of the people who enslaved us ever done? What good has come from being here, except that we exist only because we continue to resist their insistence on canceling our existence? What good has ever come of being amongst these people except learning their ways? What good has come from being amongst our oppressors? Not even a lengthening of our days. This was never supposed to be an enjoyable experience. Negroes, do you hear me? Don't drop your phone. I'm not paying for phones anymore. Could you please put that in the chat? Trina knows that she has to do that. This is true, though. Upon our arrival, we were expected to simply acquiesce and consider that we were never the best and we were not like the rest. We were always put to the test and always put in jest. That is where they liked us best. You know it. Can you not remember the Negroes of the 30s and the 40s? I can. Self-deprecating Negroes that always, kind of defer to massa, whether in the house or in the pasture. They just did that. And it wasn't long before we grew somewhat strong. And that's when our whole society went wrong. That integration put upon the Negro Nation defragmented and included us amongst their shit and fuss, their such and thus. You know what happened. Before the 60s, before the bowel movement that the 60s became, there was a bit more cohesiveness within the Negro frame. And now I look at Negroes and they look like they're going insane, but not long, folks. We ain't gonna be telling too many more jokes. And I'm certainly not about carrying any more goddamned yokes. So, on with the show. Next, all right, so, but as I grew older, I began to study my history for myself. Yes, I did. I discovered that all of these sayings were just lies that our oppressors wanted us to believe to hide the truth of the matter, which is that they are the ones who haven't contributed anything to society prior to arriving to America. And I shall prove this for the remainder of this chapter. Now, according to ancient biblical history from ancient Hebrew texts, Black people are no doubt the first people on the planet, and the first creators of civilization. However, there's much more history to us outside of the Bible in regards to creating civilizations. Many people don't know this, but it was the so-called African Americans who helped to build Europe into the world power that it is today. After the fall of Rome in 476 AD to the barbarians, the new white Europeans struggled for many years to revive what used to be one of the most powerful Black nations on earth, but had no luck at all, not any. As Rome was slowly becoming a desolate nation, our Hebrew Israelite ancestors who were living in Spain at the time teamed up with the Moors, Hamites from North Africa, pay attention, and conquered the land of Spain in 711 AD. These particular ancestors of ours were known as Moranos, which means Jews, Moorish Jews in Spanish. Did you hear that? Brothers and sisters, Negroes, wake up. These particular ancestors of ours, these Jews who teamed up with Moors who are Hamites from North Africa, together they conquered Spain, and they were known as, say it with me, Moranos, which means Moorish Jews in Spanish, because they lived amongst the Moors in the city of Morocco, Spain. Because the Moranos, Jews, and the Moors, North Africans, were related to each other and looked just alike. The surrounding populations just started labeling them as the Moors as well. Now, do tell. Folks, you need to pay particular attention. These are the receipts that we need. It isn't just a matter of comprehension, it's the facts they didn't want us to read. Please like, subscribe, and share this show. It's imperative everybody know these kinds of facts because, well, they don't want us to know this shit, all right? Just share it and give. All that good stuff here. Next. Oh, okay, I'm going. From 711 AD all the way to 1492 AD, the Moors ruled over Spain and many of the countries in Europe outside of the countries that the Khazars had control over. After arriving to Spain, our Hebrew Israelite ancestors began to create a highly advanced civilization and culture famous for art, architecture, and centers of learning. The Moors brought enormous learning to Spain that over centuries would percolate through the rest of Europe and were responsible for rebuilding Europe as a powerful nation. Now tell Congressman White, I believe that's his name. Is it Senator White? Is that his name? One of these guys said that Europe is the seat of civilization. It was just such avarice, such hubris, it was just arrogance, man. And he meant this. He meant that, they stand proud in their inability to achieve anything of their own originality. And the fact that we can trace their origins back to who they are, well, I'm sure it pisses them off, but let it piss them off. Let's just move on, okay? The intellectual achievements of the Moors in Spain had a lasting effect. Education was universal in Moorish Spain, while in the Christian parts of Europe, 99% of the population was illiterate, and even the kings could neither read nor write. Did you know that? Did you know that they made a practice of keeping their own population as ignorant and controlled as possible? And it all stems from the Catholic Church, who demanded that no Bibles be circulated, that no one learn how to read. Now, you have to understand the nefariousness of that need. It's their own weakness that betrays that move. And I can tell you, if we read further, I'm sure we'll be able to prove that. Isn't that something? I'm going to read that again. The intellectual achievements of the Moors in Spain had a lasting effect. Listen, education, learning to read. This, folks, do you understand? Read into what that says. Education amongst us, amongst Moorish Spain, where Jews and Hamites, where Negroes and Africans, congealed together into one group that they called the Moors. And everyone in that society was an educated intellectual. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, where they appear to be the descendants of Neanderthals, who for some reason found it necessary to keep their own population as ignorant and as stupid as humanly possible. for the only point and purpose but to control these barbaric hordes. And I mean, you have to grasp that. And when they did, through violence and the ability to be as evil and as vicious a group of barbaric, almost hybrid humans as possible, when they got the upper hand, what they did is they took the population that became the descendants of the Moors, those Negroes, and collectively all of us, and reversed the situation in keeping us as ignorant as possible, not allowing the enslaved that they now possess to read because they knew the disadvantage that not being educated had over societies. They had made a pledge to themselves once they were extracted out of the Caucasus Mountain caves, living like animals, fucking each other with no names. When they got educated enough by the Moors, the Spanish Moors that came and drug their hairy asses screaming and crying out of the caves because they were too terrified and too ignorant to know the beauty of God's creation. We turned these abhorrent, vile creatures into a nation. And what did they do? What did they do? They turned on us. That is the story. This is a whitewashing of Black history, folks. And now you know, and there's no mystery, folks. You understand how we wound up in this land. And please, for God's sake, please get that smile off your face. Because not a goddamn thing is funny. All right, let's move on. Sorry. At a time when Europe had only 2 universities and Moors had 17 universities located in, let's just go down the list. Almeria, Cordova, Granada, Juan, Malaga, Seville, and Toledo, and not in Ohio, folks. In the 10th and 11th centuries, public libraries in Europe were non-existent. Did you hear me? While Moorish Spain, remember what Moors are. Moors are Negroes and Hamites. Moors are Jews and those from Africa. We could boast of more than 70 universities, including one in Cordova that housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Universities in Paris and Oxford were established after visits by scholars to Moorish Spain. Please listen closely to what the man's saying. What he's saying is it was Black people that educated these ignorant Neanderthals. Do you understand? I mean, and the realization of that, I mean, should put a pin in it. I mean, it just should just end the matter. We need not even go further, but we're going to go because we need them to get madder. Yes, we do. Okay, let's go. Moving on. Universities in Paris, we did that. It was this system of education taken to Spain and Portugal by the Moors, which seeded the European Renaissance and brought the continent out of 1,000 years of intellectual and physical gloom. But it wasn't just the Moors who orchestrated the European comeback. There were many other African tribes of Israel that migrated to Europe and contributed to its renaissance, to its resurrection, to its near-death experience. Dear God, do you understand that we saved them yet again? Do you know what I'm saying on the Doug Rice Show? Are you praying? Okay, I'm done. Our dominance in Europe was strong, so strong that many of our people reigned as kings and queens throughout Europe from the 700s all the way to the 1600s. King James, who published the King James version of the Bible that we use today, was a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah, just like us. And he reigned as king over Scotland from 1567 to 1625. Now listen, folks, if you don't believe that, let it go. Eat the meat, spit out the bone. You know the rest. Leave it alone. Queen Philippa, who was the first black queen of England, was a Hebrew Moor. And she reigned as queen over England from 1327 to 1350. Now, here's the trip. Go ask one of these English people this question and see what happens to their face. If it turns beet red, you might be hitting the place. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. And there were hundreds more of Hebrew kings and queens in Europe during the Middle Ages, but you won't learn about any of this from any of America's historical resources because our oppressors don't want you to know that you have royalty in your DNA. You are royalty. I've told you this, have I not? Have I not told you that you are royalty? This is why all modern works of European civilization purposely distort the identity of the Hebrew Moors and the other African Hebrews, because white America and the powers that be want to obliterate the fact that black people had conquered Europeans on their own goddamned soil. I added that, I think it's good. And brought about a leisure of civilization that ultimately awakened Europe from its dark ages and ushered in its renaissance, its resurrection, as it were. Okay, well, listen, folks. So, aside all jokes, did you know this? Of course you didn't. You know, if you dig deep enough in any soil, it's going to be dark brown, baby. Ha! They know. And let me tell you something else they know. They know where they come from. They know where they ascended from beneath. Okay? And they know that our God, our holy position, he did not bequeath. Our position cannot be passed on to another nation. You know that. As you stand there, sitting there, listening to me, you know, putting it in the air, you are a royal person. You are of royal position. And by God, I will tell you, you do have a mission. Every one of you. Every one of you are kings, queens, priests, and judges. You will judge the earth. I take the pause for the cause because, well, I wanted to. You need to know that, folks. That's why they hate you so. They don't disdain you because you're just a Negro. They don't like you because you are of the royal house of David. You are the Lion of Judah. You, Negro, hearing my voice. You're why they're fighting over the Middle East right now. They want your position as a holy royal Negro, as a true Hebrew, as a Hebrew Israelite, and they call themselves Jew. It needs to be said. It needs to be said more often. It needs to be said to each other. It needs to be said to every Negro who calls himself a brother. You are the royal line of Judah. Treat each other that way. See how it goes. You might have a better day. Okay, I'm getting back to it. Lord have mercy. However, just like all nations, the Moors' reign over Europe eventually came to an end. In the year 1492 AD, the Moors were conquered by the European armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. And for the first time since the year 711 AD, all of Spain was now in the hands of the Roman Catholic Christians. I'm just joking. And just as our ancestors did in 70 AD when Rome conquered Israel, the Hebrew Moors fled into Africa because they were both black to run away from Roman persecution. Dr. Windsor confirms from Babylon to Timbuktu and stating, these black Jews would naturally go to African countries most of all because of the less persecution and they could disguise themselves easily among blacks. Do you understand why caucasity was taking hold at that very moment the story unfolds. In regards to what happened to the rest of the Jews, Dr. Windsor states, all the black Jews who were left behind were deprived of their freedom and sold into slavery. Now, I know the thought of this is quite unsavory, but now you have receipts. You understand what they don't wanted us to read. You understand this, right? I hope I'm getting through. I truly do. Listen, look, nobody gives. It's okay. I'll live. You know, nobody donates. I'll make it before it's too late. That's okay. You guys have your lives, and hey, I'm responsible for mine. The import of this message is that you hear it. The import is that you at least draw nearer. The import is that you check my math. The import is not just don't laugh. Lives are being lost because of these facts. Lives right now are being taken. The earth over there is being shaken, all because a group of people claim to be us. You understand that? I hope I'm getting through, because let me tell you, folks, there's a lot more we have to do. All right, I'm getting to it. Just like, share, subscribe. We'll get through it. Once the rulership of Europe by the Hebrews was transferred into the hands of white people, they were sold into slavery and became second-class citizens. Sound familiar? With the Moors out of the picture, the Europeans immediately began whitewashing the black history of Europe, replacing all of the original black images of our people with white images of their people. This happened. To add insult to injury, the blacks, who were now considered second-class citizens, were forbidden to educate themselves and had to learn their history from their oppressors. Now, what happens when you learn history from the folks who conquer you? History is changed. This would further destroy them, because the only way that black people would be able to learn would now be through images. According to David Friedberg in his work, The Power of Images, pictures were justified, because where the books of the illiterate and writers like Martin Luther, a white Christian, emphasized the value of pictures which showed histories. Histories in the broad sense meant pictures and sculptures which, with narrative subjects from the Bible. So after the Hebrews were conquered, the new class of illiterate blacks had to learn a whitewashed history, a history they would not know was originally their own, and were brainwashed into thinking that they had contributed nothing to society. This method of brainwashing through whitewashing then became the standard for educating blacks and was used to instill white supremacy all throughout Europe. As I told you before, folks, as I told you before, they made an open claim that once they crawled out from beneath the Caucasus Mountains and were civilized, that they would never be second-class citizen in anyone's eyes. These were barbarians. These were Germanic hordes, converted Neanderthal, not you and yours. And the facts are evident and out there. No longer can we ignore. And they don't like this information out there. Of that, you can be sure. Please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and share. Go to Twidware. There it is right there. Tell your friends. Not about me, per se, but particularly about the topic today. This missing information lends even more credibility to the furtherance of the complete picture I look for, and everyone should look for. I implore you. You know, it fits perfectly. The white supremacy being acted out in Israel against people of color is just an extension of the white supremacy that extended itself into Europe and beyond its shores in America. And there is a struggle against this white supremacy, this colonialistic hierarchy, this false pretension of being the people God mentioned. No. The veil is being lifted. The population is being sifted. Folks are not tolerating being grifted. This is all coming to an end. And they can no longer pretend God's judgment. Yeah, he did send. All right, I'm going. Stop. I'm flowing. At the close of the 14th century, the Caucasians began to rise to power in, we already did that? Yes? Yes? No? Yes? Well, yes? No. All the ancient paintings and images of the Black Hebrew Israelites in the Bible were ordered. Yes, we did do that. Yes? I was down here, huh? Then, in the year 1508, Pope Julius Caesar II hired none other than Michelangelo to paint white images of the main biblical characters on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel of the Vatican City in Italy. Y'all ever wonder why he did that? Nobody kind of freaked out a little bit. You know, this guy spent hours, years upside down painting white men to please a crown. What is going on with that? Why would you have to extend that to such an extension? And why all white, might I mention? I mean, the paintings are grandiose, but they're also, well, they're kind of gross. I mean, really. Every person that they exude seems to give off a white attitude, huh? Okay, but here we go. Among these paintings were the images of Jesus the Christ, who was falsely painted in the image of Caesar Borgia. In case you've never heard of the name Caesar Borgia, he was an Italian mobster and captain in the papal military during the 1500s, where he was notorious for murdering innocent lives in pursuit of conquering their land. In an effort to keep black slaves oppressed so that they could sustain their rulership, Pope Julius also hired the famous Leonardo da Vinci to help Michelangelo paint all of the paintings of the Christ in Europe in the image of Caesar Borgia. What in hell are these people on? However, since both of these artists were very well known, a competition broke out between the two to see who could impress the king more, and by making a new image of the king's son that would deceive the world into thinking that Caesar was Jesus, in which Leonardo da Vinci won the competition. And this is how Jesus became white. So the majority of the image displaying the white European-looking Jesus that we see in paintings today at churches and Christian stores is actually a picture of Caesar Borgia, not the Messiah. We knew this. After the image of a white Jesus became the standard image of the biblical Messiah, the Europeans were then able to use religion to instill white supremacy all throughout the world. Since Christianity was the dominant religion of Europe, it then became the dominant religion of every nation they invaded and conquered. So when the Europeans later conquered the Americas from the natives, the Black Indians living there during the early 15th century, all citizens under their rule were forcefully converted to Christianity, this new Christianity that had its base white supremacy. This was also the case for our ancestors who were brought here on ships. Fresh upon their arrival to the slave ports in the 15th and 16th centuries, the European slave traders had Christian missionaries lined up, waiting to meet them, ready to indoctrinate our ancestors with teachings about their pagan Roman Catholic religion and their made-up European Jesus. And I, for one, can attest personally to this. I was given up for adoption, given to different various foster homes and then adopted, but during that time, I too was put asunder through the Catholic regiments, but not baptized. I wasn't worthy of baptism. It's a very interesting insight into the effects of European ideology, this white worship that has encircled the globe and infected the minds of everyone that is not their kind. But I look closely, I peer interestingly, and I see them slowly being deconstructed. I see them slowly falling apart and disintegrating right in front of us all. I see them all coming unglued. I see the panic that they exude. I see they're in a bitter mood. And so there is a respite forward, and we all can look toward the Revelation claimed and infamed deliverance that God named our second Exodus. Again, nearly right next to us. Okay, I'm going. Unlike the Hebrews, the Europeans not only believed that Jesus was the Son of God, but that he was God himself. Therefore, by forcing their images of a white God upon black slaves, it subconsciously made them associate whiteness with superiority and blackness with inferiority. This, in return, made it easier for the slave master to control his slaves. However, the goal of the slave masters was not just to indoctrinate the Hebrews with a whitewashed version of faith. It was to wipe the memory of who they are completely from their minds. It would take a generation, a few, for this to happen, but their mission would be successfully accomplished, which is why we don't know who we are today. And yes, I made that go away. All right, so that's the end of that segment. And the reason I don't want to continue is because, I think I've put enough for your mental sinew. Also, I got to get going. The rest of the day holds, who knows? So this is what we're talking about, the whitewashing of Black history. That was the segment I wanted to go through. And it's clear that a lot has been held back from us, and a lot they didn't want us to know too. But it's more imperative we understand they didn't want us to read. And now it's more imperative that we understand that need. So get to reading, Negroes. Get to learning and prepare for your second Exodus, the one you've been yearning. I'm going to be there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to miss this. Hey. Anyway, so I do appreciate you folks being here today. I do have to go. I have no more to say, but I will be here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Okay? Thanks so much for being here. Listen, I got a great sponsor. His name is Twidwear. Go to twidwear.com. It's apparel. He's sending me something, too. Yeah. I don't know what it is. He asked me the size of my shirts or something, so I'm going to wear it on air and let you see it, and you'll be able to see it and stare, and hey, maybe you'll be able to buy something. Okay. Also, these are the giving edifices that I put below you. Please use them and let me get to know you, particularly the Cash App. That'll be cool. If you send enough money, please make me drool. I'm just joking. I'm kidding. Of course, I'm needing the money. All right. What else? Thank you to Trina. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Again, share this particular live, share this particular show. There's every reason that every single Negro should know all of this information. It should be right in the Negro Nation. The whitewashing of Black history needs no more explanation. Oh, I landed there. Okay. I'll stop. All right, there you go, folks. You have a great morning, and please drive safe. All right? All right, I got to go. Have a one. All right, bye-bye. What? All right, get to him. Come here. Look at this. Please pay attention to the news. Please, folks, don't just look at me. I'm not here for spiritual nourishment. I've never claimed to be a preacher. I more or less kind of show you what's happening. You can consider me a teacher, okay? But there are those that can teach Negroes all that they need to know, like Brother T.L. Ministries, Brother Yacoba and Teal that's his name. I've got to get both of them down, okay? And Dante Fortin, although I don't veer from those three, though I call them the three ministers, at least that's who they are to me. And that kind of has kept me in good order. I feel prepared. I feel well adjusted. There's more to come as I turn my back on the world. I see it's beginning to return the favor. But, being in this circumstance, they haven't done us any favors. Watch the news today. Watch what's going on. Don't just watch the American news. Watch far and beyond that, okay? All right? Watch for the change in their attitude. Watch the kind of signals they might exude. Watch for anything that might have them writing a manifesto and maybe driving 200 miles to do you know. But if you gotta be out there in public spaces, do me a favor, folks. Get that goddamn grin off your faces. Okay, now you can go.